Hello YouTube. How's everyone doing today? Just got out of the shower. Yes, believe it or not, I just got out of the shower. I've only been using conditioner for quite some time now. And I think you can kind of tell, a lot of people are like, oh, I only use conditioner. Then you look at their hair and you're like, oh, I don't think you only use conditioner. It kind of looks like you use shampoo. But got some time to do this review. I'm in no means rushing to get this review done because, as you can tell by the title, it kills me. It's so aggravating when I see people that are like, they talk about a fragrance and they try to be, they kind of try to tease you about it, like, oh, this is the most, and then they have it in the title or in the description. That's just completely stupid to me. But it's Des Cendres by Les Abstraits, Eugene and Antoine Lee. And some of the videos I do, I don't tag Eugene in because I don't want people to think that I'm sponsored by him. I've known Eugene for close to 10 years. It really has been that long. When him and Christo were doing videos together, riding around, when they done the meet and greet with Terry Wasser, I remember all that. I remember Christo's videos. It would be so humid in his house in Jakarta. You could see the behind him, the windows were like fogged up. Seeing Christo, Eugene. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but you can tell. I remember, watching some of the old videos, and I've gone back and rewatched some of those old videos. And Eugene is aged, and he's aged quite well. I mean, he's not aged badly whatsoever. It's just kind of crazy to see. Like, you look at him, and then you look at him now, and you're like, but you don't see when you see people, the steady progression of them aging over time, you don't really notice. But then I've gone back and saw those old videos. And a lot of people don't go back and watch those old videos. A lot of people are new and do get swept under the rug. But, it kind of goes back to, and I'm not trying to get weird at all, but it kind of goes back to the old saying / cliche. I think I saw it in a movie or read it somewhere in a book. It was like, you and them have chemistry, but you and I have history, or something along those lines. And it's always kind of funny, and especially in this community itself, there's people that, heck, I've known 7-8 years now, and we barely talk anymore, but it's like, you still remember the good old days. And speaking of good old days, that's what this fragrance reminds me of. Now, out of the 3 fragrances, I can't rank them favorite to least, or best to worst, or really which one I prefer the most. But this one really kind of speaks to me, simply because this reminds me so much of my childhood. And just like and if anyone has ever seen me talk about French Lover, they would know. French Lover reminds me of my childhood, being out, playing in the woods, smelling nature. Well, this reminds me of my childhood even more from a different perspective. I was raised by my grandparents, my mama and my papa. My mom and dad got divorced when I was a baby, and she went back and pursued her master's degree in school. So, and my mom was around. I'm not saying she wasn't around, but she lived with my grandparents at the time, and I was around my grandparents all the time. Just, classic, good old country cooking, mama's cooking, and my papa that worked for the coal mines, and done construction on the side. This fragrance reminds me of that, of the guys that I remember growing up around, being at the coal mines, being on the construction sites, being in the woods, working, building houses at the time. I thought I was really doing a lot, helping my papa build houses. But really looking back on it, I was probably more of a pest and a bother. Just kind of, not being, wanting to help, but not being strong enough to help. And I'm talking like 3, 4, 5 years old. Not being tall enough to help, but still getting in there and trying to help. So this is what that reminds me of, the wood, the wood shavings. And this really isn't a wood shaving type sandalwood fragrance, but it is woody. It is dark. It smells like a lot of those guys. It smells like a working man. I know a lot of people might not know this about Eugene, but he does have a manly job. Where a lot of people in the fragrance community, and even in the Pacific Northwest boot community, a lot of people don't have what would be considered a manly job. And when I say manly job, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm not trying to say that a woman can't do it, which some women, physically can't do some of these jobs. But just, colloquial speaking, historically speaking, and reality speaking, a lot of these jobs are manly jobs. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying a woman can't do it, but I'm also saying a woman can't do some of these jobs as good. If you don't like that, then it is what it is. Then you don't have to watch this video. You can click off. You can call me a misogynist, whatever you want to call me. That's part of the reason why I don't tag Eugene in these videos, because people come at you for some of the stupidest things. But anyways, this really, and in my whole time, I've never really seen, I'm not going to get into that, but experience speaks. I'll say that experience speaks for itself. But my papa, he told me about how his boss, his superintendent at the mines, wore polo green. Now this, and I'm really not saying that in any way possible. I'm not saying that this does not, this is a clone of polo green. I'm not saying this smells like polo green. I'm really not. They're two completely different fragrances. Just because they're in the same genre doesn't mean that they're the same fragrances. These fragrances right here are in the same genre. They're both musky iris fragrances. They're both musky iris fragrances. They do not smell the same. They're in the same family. They do not smell the same. It is what it is. These two right here, actually, let's go back. Let's talk about this. These two right here are in the same family. They're sweet, iris, leathery fragrances. Do they have some vanilla in there with both of them? Do they smell the same? No. They don't smell the same whatsoever. They're in the same category. They're in the same fragrance family, but they're not brothers. They're not sisters. They're not kissing cousins. They're not bro and stepbro, or sister and stepbro. They're not like that at all. But I can even remember the smell of the guys at the mines. I can remember the smell. I can remember the smell of their polo green, and I can smell their smell of being in the mines, the smell of the dirt, the mud, the sweat, the mine dust, the wood, the diesel fuel, the grease, the grit. They're just the whole bit of it. The smell of those guys. Even when I have worked, even me working in construction, I know this smell. It's not a bad smell. It's not a body odor smell, but it is a skin manly smell. And it's not a skin smell like one of those molecule fragrances. It's a skin smell, as in like just a real man. You know what I mean? And I know every guy that has worked on something feels this way. You work on something, you get sweaty, and you can kind of smell yourself, but you accomplish something and you feel like a man. Now, it's not skin, and when I say animalic, this isn't necessarily animalic like something like this from Elixir of Tar. It doesn't smell like goat hair. It doesn't smell like dog puke or monkey butthole or donkey balls. It doesn't smell like that. It smells like that you're a man and you have some balls. It smells like you have hair on your chest. This could really be a controversial fragrance in a world full that's trying to, make women more masculine, make men more feminine. This is a fragrance that is particularly manly. I couldn't see a woman wearing this. I'll be honest with you. I couldn't see a man that doesn't do kind of like a manly job wearing this fragrance. And I'm not meaning that in a bad way. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. But if I walked into McDonald's and I saw a man at the cash register and I smelled him wearing this, I wouldn't have picked someone wearing it. I mean, someone that gets up at 4:30 in the morning, smokes a pack of Marlboros, puts on work boots, puts on work jeans, Wranglers. I'm not talking about your Wolverine 1,000 Miles and your Levi 501s and your Origin Maine Henley shirt. I am wearing a Henley, but this isn't an Origin Maine. Your Origin Maine shirt, and you walk into your $75,000 pickup, but it's a cold morning, so you electric start it. I'm not talking about a guy like that. I'm talking about a guy that puts on a pair of dirty work boots, that puts on a pair of Wrangler jeans that he bought at Walmart, that puts on a Carhartt shirt that he bought because he's a working man and not because he's stylish. He drinks his coffee black. He smokes his Marlboros by the red Marlboro Reds. And he gets in his truck and he has to pump the throttle because it's a carbureted truck and it has a choke on it. And then he starts it up and he lets it warm up. And he doesn't let it warm up because it's cold outside. He lets it warm up because that's what you do with older vehicles. This fragrance puts me in mind of those dudes that were working 16-hour long days. Day in and day out. This smells like the inside of a coal truck because of the leather seats. This is leather. This is manly. This is work boots. This is sweat. This is hard work. I know that Eugene and Antoine Lee put in some hard work, and this is a hard work fragrance. You can not only smell the hard work that Eugene has put into this fragrance, and Antoine Lee, but the hard work this invokes. Eugene has a manly job. He has a manly job, and this is a manly fragrance for a manly man. This is not a metrosexual fragrance. This is a heterosexual fragrance. I remember when this was described as a metrosexual fragrance. I think by Jeremy or someone else. And this right here, and I know this is getting, kind of controversial territory now because people are so offended by everything, but this is a manly fragrance. If you're a woman and you can wear this, then I bet you smell hot. If you're a woman and you can pull this off, a Rye Ripley could pull this off. A woman like that could pull this off. A woman who is for sure about herself, who is dominant, who is confident, she can pull this off. But, your OnlyFans stars, women who aren't, your OnlyFans stars, your Instagram influencers, your TikTok influencers, they can't wear this. It takes a woman, it takes a Ronda Rousey to wear a fragrance like this. It takes women who have real breasts to wear this. No butt injections, real women. Those real women that work at those truck stops. The women that works at those truck stops, the ones that have big hips, the ones that can really make some good biscuits and gravy, they can wear this. They can. Real feminist women, and I'm talking about, a woman who is not afraid to put on a pan of frying oil in a cast iron pan, and if her husband steps out of line, she's not afraid to take that hot oil, not oil, but oil, and fling it all over him. Real boss women. Yeah, it takes a real boss man to wear this. People talk about, oh, this is my boss scent. Big beer business. No, this right here is a Big Daddy Eugene. This right here is a Big Daddy Eugene. This is a what is it? This is a Urethra Eugene. This is a girthy bottle for a girthy man. Enough innuendos, but really, this is a great fragrance. It's not a fragrance, and with Eugene's fragrances, with a lot of his stuff, I don't like to go over the notes, because the notes don't speak for the fragrance. The smell of the fragrance speaks for the fragrance. You have people who are only worried about notes, people who are only... Dang it. Son of a gun. People who are... I left a scratch on the table. Strong bottles. You have have people who are only worried about projection and longevity. I'm sure that, and I posted this on Facebook in a fragrance group called the Fragrance Group. It was my sin of the day, and it is my sin of the day. And I don't have to go like that, because this sitting here is pounding my nose right now. I know some people are going to say, what's the longevity and the projection, bro? If it doesn't last long, I'm not wearing it. I need my fragrance to last long because I don't last long in bed. I need my fragrance to project because I don't have a good personality to project. I need my fragrance to project because when I ejaculate, it doesn't project out more than a couple inches. It's a stupid crap like that. If you really want to know the truth, this fragrance is lasting longer than you can. This fragrance is lasting longer digging a ditch than you can. This fragrance right here will grow arms and dig a ditch for you. It'll dig your grave. It's a manly scent. It's a masculine scent. Leather, oak moss, smoky. I'm sure there's some sort of birch tar in here, or some sort of, or whether it's real birch tar or some sort of synthetic counterpart. There's iris in here. It is a black, dark fragrance. It's ashy. It's not charcoal, but it's dark, it's ashy, it's charred. It's a man. So, I could go on and on and on about how good and how great this fragrance is. I could actually sit down and dissect the notes of this fragrance, and I might do that one day. But the only way that you're going to experience how good this fragrance is by smelling it yourself. Like I said, it is a great fragrance. You should smell it for yourself. That's all I got to say. Anything else will be rambling on. I have been rambling on. Les Abstraits Des Cendres.